approval of the June 18th minutes. Can I get a motion?
I'll make the
So
motion.
moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Joe, would you like to provide the financial update?
Yes, the fund balance is currently 19.4 million, of which 6.8 is in treasuries and 5.3 are in CDs. Today's checks total $84,482, of which 70,550 are bad projects. The year-to-date expenditures are now at 1.1 million. About it. I don't know if anyone has any questions.
Any questions?
No.
Okay, list of reporting and filing dates.
We have been receiving O&M submittals, which is good. Southeast, Carmel, Town of Pauling, Bedford. So we are moving along with that. And with Kevin's help, he's been looking at the backup and I've been looking at the accounting. So that's been going well. We did have some more people send in their financial disclosures, but I don't have an update on that until Putnam County gets back with that. So we're moving along and we are meeting the criteria on those lists.
All right. This is getting to be somewhat of a problem of people not filing their financial updates. Any suggestions on what we do other than the strongly worded letter going out to everybody?
I know Peter did that one year and that was very helpful. So maybe coming from, well, Peter, as president, you sent it out. So maybe
Yes.
Rich, as president, you should, maybe I can find that letter for you and we could put something similar together. That's a good idea.
All right, that's great.
You know, the other thing that we did is if we know who they are, you know, some of us would just reach out to them
They
personally.
just tell us it might even be me for all I know.
You are on.
Yeah, the attachments, they're on, the list is on the attachment.
Yeah.
Am I current? Now that I say that.
Who's on the list?
I sent a note out last year to everybody. I'll fill mine out and send the note out today.
Chris, you are current. You are current.
Okay, good.
Peter,
I'll
you're
do
on.
that before he asks the question.
I'm on the
I
list.
had no idea, obviously. Okay. Well, what I'll do is I'll take the ownership of sending a note out to everybody who's specifically hasn't had it done yet. Just to remind them that they're going to lose their membership in the corporation. That'll get them moving.
Moving in what direction?
You never know, they might like that, actually. So.
Can account for taste.
All right. Any other questions on the reporting and filing dates? All right. Who wants to talk about the lieutenant planner position?
I'll take that. So we met with 2 candidates last week. The resumes of both those candidates were sent out to everybody. Can everybody hear me? I'm getting
No,
static.
what's happening right now is there's a phone that's not muted, 845, so that's blinking, and you're really, that's not a great microphone, so everybody kind of has to mute, I think.
Is this any better?
A little bit better.
A little bit better? Okay. So we met with 2 candidates, had to do 1 Zoom interview, was able to have 1 sit down last week. I felt both candidates were very, very strong for the position. One, Corey Lapidus, was straight out of ES2, ESF, had a lot of strong technical background that I think could apply immediately. The second interview was with Shannon Jenkins, who has a little more work experience, has been out of school for several years, working with the Dutchess County Soil Conservation District. A lot of the work she's done up there is, I think, directly relatable to what we're trying to do here, and in a lot of ways how we're trying to expand the program and touch on some of the other minimum control measures here for all municipalities. So I'm getting ready to make my recommendation to the board, but before I do that, I wanted to see how everybody wanted to handle that. If anybody else wanted to meet with candidates if you wanted to talk about it offline rather than, in the executive committee meeting, to then make our final recommendation to the board of directors the August.
Well, I have a question for you. Didn't like Bob Irving?
I had to look back at his resume again. I'm not sure.
He interned with us,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I called him Robert. That's why I didn't recognize when you called him Bob. Yeah, I mean, I thought he did a great job last year. I just felt that these two particular candidates were a little bit stronger, had a little more applicable stuff that we could hit the program with.
All right, so certainly I would like to, meet the two candidates, and we're going to do that. I don't know how everybody else feels about it. Anybody?
Yeah, I think we should.
You want to do it as
I'm-
executive board?
Yeah, I would think that's a good idea.
Yeah. And I worked with Shannon at Dutchess County Soil and Water MS4 Committee, and she really, one gal went on maternity leave, and she was able to pick right up, and she did really well for us. So I just wanted to put that in.
Yeah, I thought, like I said, I thought both candidates were really strong and had a lot of good experience that they could apply for us.
All right.
So then what would you like the next step to be? We can set up a Zoom meeting with each individual candidate? Or would you like to have a sit down? And does anybody else want to be involved other than Rich?
Well, it sounded like the whole executive committee was interested in doing it.
Okay.
I would say, listen, I prefer in-person meetings, but that means we've got to have an area where we can spread out. I don't know. Listen, certainly, we can do it here at Town Hall. I don't think we can do it down there, or we can do Zoom. If you want to do Zoom, it's fine.
Yeah, why don't just a couple of you folks meet in that room? I think we can probably fit 3 or 4 people and keep 6 feet apart. Other than that, I can't imagine. So I don't think it should maybe be the entire executive committee. I hate interviewing people over a video like this. It just doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, who wants to be involved?
I think Chris said yes first and Rich said yes first. So there.
It's fine.
Anybody else want to be involved? All right.
Peter, you're
Do you
muted,
have-
Peter.
Do you have Kevin? Is Kevin going? Is Kevin going to be there?
Kevin's gonna go.
Yeah, he should.
So you already have 4 people, the candidate, you,
Yep.
That's all right. It's fine. It can go quickly.
Yeah, I can ask Rich Franzetti if he wants as a representative of the technical committee as well.
Yeah, that would be
Um,
fine. All right. So Kevin, you want to coordinate that?
No problem.
Okay. All right. Project update.
My question on this, Kevin, to some extent, is which of these people best fits your needs?
Well, that's my needs today. I feel Corey fits. Expanding the program in the future to hit the other notes, I think Shannon fits that really well. So it's, I think if I was going one direction, I think that for needs today, I would say Corey.
Really?
Well, he can come in and take care of all the initial evaluation level stuff, and has experience, construction site experience already, and he's just coming fresh out of school. So he's got a lot of things that can kind of get me out of the weeds and take the lead on some of this initial stuff, and help me step back and take a different look at the program. Then easily Shannon could take on some of those things too, I think. But we need to have a clear image as to where that funding is going to come from, how the entire program is going to be set up before we get anybody in and running on the other minimum control measures.
The benefit on Shannon, though, is she's right around the corner.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah. She was very happy to drive in.
Yeah.
5 minutes up the road, in mind.
All right, we good?
Yep.
Project update.
All right. So I am going to start with everybody's favorite, which I think is wrapping up nicely. So over at Kent at Montrose Drive, Kent NP 601, there has not been any new communication with the town since we met last month. I think the last bit of communication came from Chris and George's office to their town attorney. But the construction is essentially done. We are wrapping up on the site, and I'd say we are about a few weeks from getting out of there entirely. I expect final payment to be submitted from both Hodge Engineering and Legacy Supply for the October check run. The fencing was the last item to be installed. They should be wrapping that up this afternoon. I visited the site yesterday, and just on the small amount of time I was there, had multiple residents stop and compliments on how good the site looks and the work that was done there and how happy they are. The highway department was out and assisted the contractor with traffic control over the last week with getting the HDS unit in and getting fencing in. They stopped and even were asking questions on the maintenance. So by all accounts, as of right now, we're starting to get a more positive response on the project, which we're very happy with. So payment will be, we're hoping to get payment issued for August, but that is going to mean that we need to start initiating closure conversation with the town. I think we need to have another communication because the town has to start writing, they have to sign off on the DEC permit, the MS4 acceptance form, and they need to sign off on certification of final construction. So I don't know how you all would like me to approach that. Do we want to continue to only have these communications go through council, or would you like me to reach out to the town and initiate those closure conversations?
So I would say we send the town a letter, make sure you keep the attorneys in the loop, but follow the standard procedure, send the town a letter saying, construction is complete. Please sign off on the NOT.
Okay. Okay, so that's where we'll go, and then we'll see what this response is and go from there. But I've been happy with how it's getting wrapped up. And with the positive, a few residents wanted to know if they could walk their dogs through the very nice park that we just created for them. So that was a good sign, at least, I suppose. Okay, so moving on, so as you guys know, we had a couple of new projects. Yes.
Oh, sorry. Just make sure you copy me on all of those conversations, if you would, please. Even if it's BCC, let me know and make sure that I am on loop on what's going on. Great.
Absolutely.
I think Rich's approach is a good one.
Kevin, do you have any pictures of the property before or after?
Yes. Yeah, I
I'd
can
love
share
to have
that.
it in case it comes up in a conversation with the supervisor. If you have any, I'd love to see them.
Sure.
Thank you.
Recently, we've got a couple new projects in from the town of Carmel. One is within the Lake Mahopac commercial zone at the intersection of 6 and 6. There's a lot of, such as the Lake Mahopac Parks District came to us and said, what can you do to help our lake? Scraping and get something done there. And I felt that was a great spot for us to target because it is a lot of parking lots and a lot of commercial buildings. Pretty close to 100% impervious down in that area. So we're definitely, I'd like to do the full evaluation, but we're looking at certainly over 10 kilograms in catch basin inserts that we could install down
there. What lake?
Mahopac.
Oh, Lake Mahopac. Okay.
Yeah. So the Parks District is more than willing to take the lead on knocking on doors of these commercial developments, and because they already have a relationship with a lot of these folks, and two, some of them own those properties. So they're gonna do a lot of the legwork of getting us in there to access any of these catch basins and help us out, and at least make the first introduction, which is significant. As you all know, that's one of the hardest parts, is getting us through the door. So there'll be certainly over 10 kilograms I expect there. I think that's gonna be an easy one for us to grab. The second one comes in Croton Falls Reservoir, just downhill from the Paladin Center in Carmel. We had stabilized 2 heavily eroded channels on the site of Paladin Center, but had stopped at the property line. Ideally, we should have continued from that property line and through the next private property down to Route 6. The issue that we found there was that there are multiple eroded channels from where the stormwater flow has branched off. So we got a couple of channels we could fix right there, and I think that where they all converge down towards the bottom of the property, we can drop in a water quality element, I think, and satisfy the DEC and get more kilograms. As I said a couple times, and I know there's some opposition to it, the DEC still is asking us to do a water quality element in addition to any channel stabilization. So that we're presenting both, a value to the channel stabilization and erosion that no longer will happen, and some type of treatment device that will remove some of the phosphorus from the water quality value. So I think this can be an easy way to hit both on the head and get the project out. We've had the DOT has actually reached out to the town of Carmel and brought up the issue of the erosion from these channels and how it's affecting the 6 and 8. So this would be a good project for us to knock out as well. The installations at the Metro North properties are being scheduled. As of right now, we have BMU 701, which is at the Woods Bridge commuter lot, and the second one is at Croton Falls train station. Both of those projects, the manufacturers installers reached out to us and said they're ready to go as soon as we can get them on there. So I've tentatively circled the first week in August for them to get in there and do these installations. Now I'll talk with both Supervisor Burdick and Supervisor Lucas, make sure that works for you guys, because I know in the case of Bedford, we're working through an installation agreement that will do it. And I want to make sure that we're not disrupting anything that may be going on those sites anyway. From my experience driving through, both lots have seemed pretty empty when I visited. So it seems as though we got to strike while the iron's hot and we can get in there and get these installed. So we already have the land use permit for the town of North Salem, and Chris, I'll work with you to make sure that we get that land use permit in place and you guys sign an offer letter to return it to the DEP. I know that the DEP is happy to see us get these in as well. The final item in the update is that I took a visit over to Tilly Foster Farm to take a look at the wrap up there for the project. I met with Putnam County Highways and Facilities to look through the reimbursement. I was very happy with the end product. I think we did a great job out there with both stabilizing the channel and providing water quality treatment pond in front of their existing pond. What's going to dictate the next step is how they compile all their reimbursement documentation, which I'll work with Joanne and John Tully to make sure everything is up to the level that we need it to be before we write any checks towards them, of course. But I was very happy with the condition of the site, how construction concluded, and they did it while the original plans had items that Putnam County wanted to install that I think we would consider non-SRP. They did a very good job segregating those out, and in fact, they haven't even been installed. So all items that sort of like signage or additional plantings, things like that are not necessary for the stormwater project itself haven't even been done yet. And I have full confidence that facilities is aware that they cannot cannot be shown on anything that's submitted to us because it is not eligible expense. That was very clear to nothing that's all I have on the update side, unless there's any individual questions.
Kevin, going back to the Carmel projects, who contacted you from the Mayapack Lake Park District?
So it was originally, I believe his name is Compton Steen, if I remember correctly. They reached out to Rich Franzetti, who then immediately brought it over to us. And then I had a Zoom meeting with them about a month ago.
So Rich is in the loop on both these projects?
Yes, I visited the projects over near Paladin Center. I visited with Rich and we walked the hillside. I explained to him everything that we can and cannot do. And he was in on the phone calls at the Lake.
All right, good. All right, that's it.
Okay.
I just have a quick question about, you said you wanted to meet with myself and Chris. I'm on vacation the first 2 weeks in August, so this is about the parking lots, I guess, Kevin?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you want to meet.
I don't know that necessarily you and I need to meet, Warren. What I'm going to do is give you all the information that I have. If you see any reason that we can't get out there in the beginning of August, then we'll delay it. If you don't see any
Now, this is the perfect time of year to get it done. Nobody's there.
So,
that's what I think.
Kevin, did you want to meet at site, I assume, right?
Well, I think
Site at the
even
lots?
they'll be on the lot themselves for just about 4 hours in the case of your site. I don't know that we need to have a meeting on site necessarily.
Okay.
I think that if you and I just talk about what we need to do to get that man's permit in hand.
That's fine. I think we could just have a conversation about it. And if we could include Kevin Wynn on it. I'll probably also ask Abe Zambrano, who is who handles our parking bureau, to join us.
Okay.
That'd be fine.
And
But
then,
I tend to think that I'll end up the same place that Warren is, that, there shouldn't be any disruption to existing users. So,
right, and we just need to make sure we get those install agreements executed and in your file, Kevin, and also the permits, obviously. We need to document that you have the acceptance of the permits before you start the work, right?
Kevin, have we sorted out Salem Hill Road and its proximity to a well?
I've spoken with Westchester County Health Department. They, according to the regulations within the health department, there's no reason why we cannot install our treatment system.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean they're allowing us to.
Okay.
I'm waiting for a response back from their office because I'm questioning, one of the regulations that they're citing. Essentially, they're saying we have any storm water has to be outside of 100 feet of an existing well. Well, the well happens to be right next to the side of the road, so it's already within probably 10 foot from the existing open stormwater channel. So we're still working on that. Once I get a response back from the health department, which seems to be busy to say the least, I'm hoping that we can turn that back around to you, Peter, and we can get that installation agreement taken care of, and then I'll authorize Rennie to push that.
Yeah, I just didn't sign that until I've got an agreement that I can do it right next to a public water supply.
Right. Yeah, and I'll get a written letter from them stating there's no.
I have a question about another project. I don't know if it's new or old, but I think it's NSMU 601, the one that you were requesting. We have, that was the Jeff Moore's property over off of Keeler.
Yes.
And there was a question of having us go back and getting their mortgage companies to agree to, I guess, be behind. I'm not sure why we're doing that, and I'm not sure exactly what we were intending to do, but could you just maybe just kind of tell us what you need? And what I'd like the board to do is maybe agree that we don't have to do that in this case.
So in the end of the day, we need to have the right to access the property in perpetuity. So, and we need our installation agreement and easement to be carried with the property moving forward without any issue. The way it's been presented to me by council was that in order to make sure that that is the case, that we can have our easement in place, we need to have an agreement with the mortgage companies. Chris, maybe you could clear that up a little bit better for us.
Sure. Rich, did you want to take this offline, or did you want to just keep going through this?
Well,
An issue that we talked about today anyway, so.
yeah, I mean, my concern is that I don't understand why we need to do this. Jeff Morris just died yesterday, by the way.
I'm sorry.
So the last thing I need to do is go back to his wife and start telling her that I need to have this thing.
Warren, I understand the issue, but we have a legal issue we need to discuss. So Rich, did you want to do that, or did you want to take it
I'm
offline?
going to take this offline into executive session.
Attorney-client.
Okay. That was due to this particular case?
No, this is one example of some things we need to talk about this precise issue, about the subordinations.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So just a good opportunity to talk about that. We wanted to talk about that.
So if we can table this conversation up to the end of the meeting.
Fine.
All right, moving on, change orders.
Okay.
Both of these change orders are for, rebidding the projects. And it seems that the work has already been done. I'm a little concerned about that. Can you explain to me a little bit more about, why we're having work done before we're authorizing the increased prices?
The short of it was just to get the projects going forward. I understand the concern that you're presenting, Rich. In both cases, I did notify that we would have to do additional work for these projects to move forward and get to construction. But no, we did not have an existing agreement and change order in place at those times. But the work needed to be done to get both to construction.
Anybody else have any concerns or questions about the change orders?
No.
All right, can I get a motion on change order for Kisco NC 22?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a motion on the change order for Patterson EB 0903B?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Oh, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Kevin, Fabco.
I'm all over the place with my, okay. So first, actually, Rich, I think we skipped over the item number 7, which was to award construction of for MKNC 22, as well as seeker determination for the site. We had previously done the seeker evaluation. This is to renew it. This has been there were some changes to the elements that were getting installed on the site, and it's been some time since we did do the evaluation. So for council's recommendation, we're renewing it. We still have, of course, no significant impact that's going to be made by the project. I'd like to move forward with the approval of the negative declaration. Can I get a motion?
Jumped over one. Can I get a motion on the seeker for Mount Kisco NC 22?
So moved.
Second? All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Can I get a motion on the award for construction?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now can we go to Fabco?
Now we're on track. This item is to add an additional project, MKNC 22, to what will be the existing service agreement that we have with Fabco. This is for installation of catch basin inserts at the Mount Kisco Commons in Mount Kisco. The project cost for installation is approximately $43,240, which will give us an overall efficiency for the project closer to about $10,000 to $12,000 per kilogram. The Urban Edge is the property owner, and they have entered into an agreement with Mount Kisco to allow us to go in essentially a memorandum of understanding with them. As of right now, we do not have an installation agreement for the project, but it's under their review. They actually was supposed to get back to me yesterday. However, I don't have it for council to review comments. But this is a project that they support and are understanding of us putting it in and accepting of us putting it in. So what I'd like to do, since I don't have that installation agreement in hand, is get an approval of the quote from Fabco pending completion of the installation.
Kevin, a quick question. What happens if one of these units gets damaged and has to be replaced? Who's responsible?
The Mount Kisco will have to go in and do the maintenance and replacement of the filters. In the case of, somebody who happened to be going shopping at Target who finds a way to damage our product, that is an issue, I can see. But the East of Hudson and the Village of Mount Kisco would be responsible for the maintenance of the product.
So I'm not quite sure. We've been talking about this on and off for a number of years. We were going to be responsible, I thought, for the maintenance. Is that not the case?
It is.
Okay, so when you say
we are responsible.
I'm sorry?
We are responsible for all O&M, yeah.
Okay, so when you said Mount Kisco is going to be replacing the filters and stuff, are those the cartridges in the Fabco you're talking about?
Yes.
So is Mount Kisco doing it, or are we doing it?
Well, it'll be Mount Kisco. I mean, from that perspective, I mean, there's no difference.
But we're reimbursing Mount Kisco for doing it.
Right, it's part of the O&M program.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, my concern is not so much that as it is somebody's pulling one of the grates out, drops the grate, and it punctures the unit. Now the unit has to get replaced. The whole unit has to get replaced. Now, it's not big money. It's $1,600 to replace it, plus installation. But I was just wondering who's responsible.
It'll be the town and the village, yeah. And essentially us to make sure the product is functioning correctly.
Well, I think you need to go back and talk to everybody, because I don't think that's everybody's understanding. I mean, I have the communities around Keats Lake, and I think if I went back and told them that they're responsible for everything, they'll say, forget about it. In fact, I'm responsible.
Let's bring this back for a second. This is no different than any stormwater retrofit project we've ever installed. The responsibility falls to the municipalities in every single case. So in the example that you just brought up, Warren, your highway department is going to go to Vales Grove and make sure.
No, my highway department's not going to do it. It's on private property. It's not going to do it.
Okay. So then it'll come back to us to make sure, as the corporation, that these things get taken care of. And then if it's a matter of us finding a contractor in the future.
I thought we were talking about originally is we have a contractor that just goes through these and does it. It's far cheaper than that way.
I 100% would like to go that direction, so we just have one individual or two individuals, whatever the case is.
Because you know what's going to happen. Some of them are going to get done, and a bunch of them nobody's going to touch until it backs up all over the place.
Sure.
I mean, they're cheap.
But if we were to, when we enter into an installation agreement in these cases, it's never going to say an outside party will take care of this. every installation agreement is going to say that the municipality has the obligation and East Patuxent has the right, but not the obligation. Now, how we work that out with each individual municipality, make sure the job gets done, is up to us. I fully support having a contractor go out there, one or two, whatever the case is, depending on how many you end up with, and just knocking out all of these across the entire work. I think that's the best way to handle it.
I would agree. I think it's going to be cheaper. The stuff's going to be done up to the right spec, and it'll get done.
Yes.
Are you at a point where you're, when is the first time when you'd have to undertake maintenance, Kevin?
That is actually already started. At Brewster Heights, SE Pado 2, we installed a group of the filters within the subdivision there. So we've already had one cycle where the town of Southeast purchased the filters and installed the filters.
So they did it themselves.
They did it themselves.
Okay.
But in the, I mean, this is exactly the case that Warren's bringing up, is eventually going to be a problem. Like we'll be looking at school districts, we'll be looking at these private properties, these private communities that, from my experience, and it's exactly what Warren said, the highway departments are not going to want to go in there. You already have plenty of school districts that the highway department refuses to go in.
Right, so I was
so that's gonna be,
when you want to do the procurement, when would you need to do a procurement for that service is what I was thinking, and it might be an annual thing.
I think that we'll be talking about this in exactly a year.
In when?
1 year.
Okay.
The next maintenance cycle, once we start getting the rest of these in, is going to be just about a year.
Right, that's what I was thinking. Okay.
Now, I personally, and anybody else who happens to be working with the company at that time, will be visiting these sites to make sure they're functioning. Because in the case of a parking lot at Target or whatever cases, you know, we're going to end up with coffee cups and debris. It's going to get filled up quick. And we need to make sure these are functioning. So I think the latest it'll be a year, at the earliest, and maybe 6 months. We're asking somebody to go out there and take on it.
Peter, you're on mute.
Does the MTA understand that? Because quite a lot of these are on MTA property, right?
Yes, the MTA does understand that. They understand that they want nothing to do with fixing this, maintaining it, and that it's ours to operate.
Okay, because trying to get the MTA to do things can be difficult.
Yes. For sure.
So
Don't
I
smile,
think
Chris.
would
It's
make
bloody
sense-
impossible.
It would make sense, I think, for us to sit down and figure out how to do this. We're going to spend the money anyway if we're paying people to do the maintenance. It's, you know, at some point in time with all these things we're doing, I end up having another head count in my highway department just to clean these, clean the jellyfish, do the work over here. Not maybe a head count, but it you know, anything, it puts stress on the folks that are doing the work now. And I'm already down 4 head count from a number of years ago. So I think it would make sense for us to sit down, take a look at it, figure out if we can do it cheaper ourselves than to pay people money to do it. And have one contractor that just does the work perfectly well. I know my highway department is maybe a little different. Chris's, it's an employee, mine's an elected official. He's not going to want to go on private property and take the ownership of their drainage systems that these things are in. It's going to get crazy.
Right. Then the more projects we add to that list, the more projects that have HTS units, jellyfish, storm filters. A lot of these things we can start grouping together and relieve the individual highway departments to start doing other things. Because if the program's not going away, all we're going to do is add more and more and more and more work that we're asking these highway departments to execute. Some are more able to do it and have larger personnel groups, and others don't. So I think that's a very good point, Warren, that we might be able to not only do this for the Fabco product, but also be looking at other installations that it makes sense for, and kind of and evaluate what's the best way to get this done most efficiently and for the lowest dollar value, with still getting the right product.
Don't forget shared services, of course. Always
Yeah.
a possibility.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, who buys the filters for the stuff on private property? I guess it's the municipality. We're signing up for doing that, I suppose, but.
Well, I think eventually it's going to be, rather than Fabco having 19 different contracts with all of you, it's going to make a lot more sense probably for Eastwood Hudson to have the only one contract that is with Fabco, and then now we're serving as kind of the hub to then tell those folks, okay, deliver 12 over to this site, or deliver all of them to this individual contractor who's going to install all of them on our behalf. And in that case, we'd be able to tell, we'll have to work through how it's going to work with the O&M reimbursement and that chart, and how it'll get divided up. But we might be able to tell all the municipalities, look, every calendar year, we are going to have a bill of $50,000 that'll go towards installation or maintenance of this product. So include it in your O&M budget for the next calendar year. We'll work through that and how it's going to be the best.
Okay.
Just one point I wanted to add to that discussion is one of the things we struggle with in Yorktown is some of those replacements require confined space entry. So if we're going to do some type of spec, maybe we could put some provisions in there so the contractor would have those certifications, and that would greatly help some of the towns out.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. Yeah. If there aren't any other questions, then I'd like to get a motion to approve the purchase of the filters for Mount Kisco Commons pending completion of the installation.
Well, if nobody else wants to do it, I'll make the motion.
Oh, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, O&M program update.
I think Joanne hit a lot of it already. We are moving forward. I like to see all the pieces coming in. I have no major items. I think the one that does come to mind is over in Kent. There was a project on Cottage Road, Cottage Drive, Kent ND 02, and it. You may recall maybe about a year ago we brought this to the table discussing how is this project going to be, how are we going to maintain this thing because it's not functioning the way it was originally intended. There were blowouts of sediment. There were a lot of issues with the tributary drainage area, I felt, from the condition of the catch basins. So where we landed right now is actually that Putnam County is offering to go in, rehab that basin back to its original conditions for the as-built. And then we can evaluate, okay, are there any realistic design changes that need to occur, or is this really just sediment blowout from the tributary area that's coming in from catch basins, which is what I think the condition is. I think there's too much sediment that was washing out into this pond. It wasn't able to function correctly. So what they've offered to do is go in there, clean out all sediment, rebuild any riprap berms that might need to be placed, give us a clean basin to work with, and then figure out is there more that needs to be done? Because either way, this needs to get back to its original condition anyway as part of our program. And the Lake Carmel Parks District does not have the equipment to get that back to how we want. So right now, actually, Putnam County Highway and Facilities is out there looking at the project site to figure out if they can in fact help us. I think that's gonna, if they can, I would like to authorize them to go ahead and do that. It will be a larger expense, I think. I'm not talking 10,000, but it will be a larger maintenance expense for them. But that will be included within their O&M submittal for the calendar year.
So my question is, why isn't the town of Kent taking care of this?
That is a great question. And
Not a great answer.
because it is on Parks District property,
Park District's a part of the town of Kent.
I'm not arguing whatsoever. I'm in agreement. But the reality is it's not getting taken care of, and they don't have the equipment to do it correctly. Putnam County has offered their services to get this done.
Kevin, what's the efficiency of the project and how many kilograms?
I'm not quite sure, Chris. This was a year 3 project. I would imagine the efficiency has to be in the range of $100,000 per kilogram. We probably got about 3 kilograms out of it. But it's one of the older ones, so I'm just not sure.
I want to go back to my conversation. Was the town of Kent contacted?
Yes, the town of Kent actually brought it to us and said, we need you to do a full rebuild of the entire project, and asked us to go out to design services and get a new contractor, because they claimed that it was a failure in our design, failure in the product that we provided on site. I certainly don't feel that. And we ran over this about a year ago when it was originally proposed by the town of Kent. I believe their town engineer provided us with a letter and recommendation of what they would like to see us do, but they weren't willing to take on the cost of a full reconstruction for sure. So in order to get this project working how it should be, to start, this needs to be brought back to its as-built condition.
And what caused it to not be in the as-built condition? Storm? Your mic is great. Your mic is not that great, just so you know. I'm having problems here.
There's no way for me to give you a solid answer as to why, but absolutely my evaluation of the catch basin system that goes down there and all the open channels that find their way down there is telling me that there's just washout, a lot of sediment that's being deposited into the pond, which is stopping it from functioning correctly because, as you all know, we weren't getting adequate maintenance done on these projects in the beginning of the program. The reality is now things are changed, and now we are getting maintenance done on these ponds that have been installed. This was installed back in 2015, I believe. So 5 years of not the best attention has led to this not functioning the way that they need.
So what do they need? What kind of equipment is it? A backhoe? I mean, a big excavator type to take the
Yeah,
sand?
that's all it is. We send a bunch of guys in there with a larger excavator with a longer arm that can access the traffic probably from the road as best as possible, and just clean this up. And through the shared services that are offered by Putnam County, we can get this done and functioning correctly quickly.
So there was obviously, because I have a similar problem in another area of town off of one of the roads. It's a dirt road, and I get too much washout off the dirt road. So I'm always trying to keep the siltation pond clean. And if you miss a year, it becomes a mess. So we have to figure out how to stop the stuff from silting down, coming down off the road. What are they going to be doing here? Or are we doing anything? Are they doing anything to stop the silt from coming in? Is it from their drainage someplace else? Do you know?
I 100% believe it's from their drains. Now, I don't know that they have any intention on replacing catch basins or doing better maintenance within the open channels that lead down to these. But now that I've identified some of those issues, we can more regularly tell them, well, where are you with this cleanup? Last last year I found a tree growing in one of the catch basins on that hillside. I can tell you trees usually grow in dirt. So it was pretty hard not to see that there was an issue there. And I pointed that out to the municipality, and they took care of it. But the reality is, we're talking about an older lake community that doesn't have solid stormwater infrastructure to begin with. If at best, it's probably failing, if it hasn't already failed. So there's plenty of opportunity for sediment and washout to occur throughout that entire hillside.
Well, I think somebody, we're going to be back here in a year or two again if somebody doesn't look upstream and figure out what has to be done. Maybe it's a meeting with Kent to say, look, you have to do these things. Maybe there's nothing they can do. I don't know, but you have to do these things, and maybe we'll agree to do some of this, or the county will agree to do some of this.
Sure.
Okay, August Board of Directors meeting. Everybody's got the draft agenda?
Yeah, I have.
Everybody's okay with the draft agenda?
What date's the meeting?
The 11th.
Of August.
I'm on vacation that day, but
Congratulations, Warren.
I'm on vacation every day in North Salem. So,
You just had 3 months off, and now you're taking a vacation from that?
I was here every day.
So Richard, I'm wondering if we could add something about, and maybe this has got to be a coalition meeting, a brief one, on an update on status of looking into funding for exploring the expansion of the scope of the authority of the corporation.
Okay, that would be a coalition meeting for sure. We could do a coalition meeting after, but I thought based on our last conversation at the coalition meeting that you were going to look into that.
Yeah, I mean, I have, and the consolidated funding applications have not come out yet with the state. And, I think it might be helpful to chat with the board or about whether there might be other ways of trying to get funding. I don't know. Obviously, with the state budget in tatters, this is not easy. I don't know also what the board feels that we need to do, or our council feels that we need to do. I'm not quite sure what the scope of the study would be. Maybe we need to have council give a better idea as to what they think would be needed to go forward with it. I don't know, maybe I'm oversimplifying it, but I don't think it's that complicated. I'm certainly happy to defer to the thoughts of council and the board as to what seems to be needed and appropriate in order to move ahead.
All right, Joanne Daly, can you schedule a coalition meeting on August 11th?
Yes.
During the regular meeting?
Right, for August 11th?
Yep, please.
Okay.
Thank
Will
you.
do.
Appreciate that.
All right, anybody else have any other business? All right, I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to talk about a legal issue.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Hi. Would somebody like to make a motion on the Mount Kisco project?
I move to approve.
That's been too long. I'm too old now. I was like, what Mount Kisco project?
All right, do I have a second?
I'll second. This is the Fabco stuff, I'm assuming still.
Yes. Linda, can you fix this? And you're on mute. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any other business?
I we were going to discuss Joanne's, whether or not she would stay out
Yes.
for work from home. So I don't know if you want to go into executive session to discuss that, and then we'll all go into a waiting room until you're ready.
So, all right, so, I had committed, and I've just been swamped here, that I was hoping that Warren and I were going to sit down with Joe and go through it. We haven't had a chance to do that. So at this point, I'd just like to leave the status quo until Warren and I can do that.
I did talk to Joanne, but we did not do it together, so.
Yeah. So that's okay with everybody?
Sure.
That's fine.
Okay,
And, okay,
all right.
all right.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? All right,
Aye.
everybody have a great day.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Warren, I sent you the Fed transfer.
Yep, I see it.
Thank you. If that could be done today, that's great.
Okay.